Next is Ronnie Steele, and the subject is Joe. Please submit this. Compliment 1. K100 is the best wrestling podcast, hands down. Compliment 2. The production is quality. What's up, Conan, Disco, and Joe? Day 1 listener here. Question. What do you guys think about a podcast with Kevin Gill and Billy Badass Body? What would you guys call it? Thanks. And that's a wrestling from Ronzilla. P.S. I've signed Disco Inferno car. How much do you guys think it's worth? That's a Matchbox car. Probably $20, I imagine. Kevin Gill and Billy Body would that podcast would last about as long as the Ebony and Ivory podcast with.
Oh my God, what a clash that would be between those two.
Terrible. Next from Niall Foster, somebody Starks. Guys, I was at WrestleCon saying Billy. He was in some lines to get autographed photos, and how did I know it was him? He was loudly, and I mean one level below yelling, talking to Son about how he knows Conan and Disco. He was clearly doing it for attention. It didn't work. I just rolled my eyes. Most because he didn't mention Crazy Eddie, the real draw. Ooh. I question that. I don't think Billy would be in line talking to his kid about knowing me and you when his kid's been on our show. So this is highly questionable. So I have to ask you guys about Ricky Starks. You guys were giving him a lot of credit for upping his game during that long-running Chris Jericho feud, and did that lead him into moving back into his feud with MJF for the title? Nope. Starks has now moved down the card again and seemingly will need to begin all over again. Conan, Disco, and Crazy Eddie. Is there any hope for Ricky Starks? Is he tarnished like Wardlow? Bro, there's another guy that the iron was hot, and they gave him some mic time, and he wrestled MJF, and they're coming in, and he's doing a feud with Juice Robinson. That looks like a kid that like a homeless guy. You know, like he's definitely there's if anybody thinks that Ricky Starks isn't being lowered on the card with this angle with Juice Robinson, it's like I don't know what to explain to you. It doesn't make any sense to me why you would think that this is Ricky Starks' next feud based on how hot that guy could get. Well, would you agree with that, Conan?
Yes.
Want to comment on it? Like, what do you think?
Well, bro, what can I tell you? This is not Ricky's fault. This is, the bookers. When you as we've said myriad of times, when you have the luck of the people picking who they like, you go with it.
Right. You're putting a guy out there just to fill time on TV, and the fans are really enjoying the content. You're like, oh, well, you're supposed to sit there and say, oh, we got something here. Let's say, let's take this guy. Who are our top guys? Let's put him in an angle with one of the top guys and see what the crowd thinks about him working this guy. It's like, no, it's like Juice Robinson.
Right. And the only thing you're doing is you're risking not being able to get him hot again.
Right.
Like when Braun Strowman left, I thought, well, it's going to be hard to get him hot again. But him just leaving and the people seeing him again, they popped. Right. But if he would have stayed and they tried to rehabilitate him, it might not have worked.
Right.
Okay. Like, I'll give you an example. Elias.
Right.
They really didn't strike when he was hot. And now look at him, bro. He's like, he's cold as ice.
Yeah. Next is from Hank Beanie, and the subject is Cornette and Vikingo. Hey guys, Jim Cornette had some pretty disparaging things to say about Kenny Omega and El Vikingo's match from AEW Dynamite. To summarize, Cornette said, Omega looked like a grown man trying to spot a 9-year-old gymnast. They were both stupid for doing something that looked phony and hurt themselves. Vikingo was a dumb for hitting his head on the apron and somehow not getting KO'd, and that Vikingo was a midget that doesn't sell. What are your thoughts on Cornette's comments? Thank you. That's some handsome Hank. Hashtag Team Rick Steiner. Oh my God,
that's not great.
That's heat.
Not a great thing. No.
Wait 1 minute, because I lost you. All right, there you
are. Okay. Yeah, Cornette was not a fan, but he wouldn't be a Cornette fan in this match. He doesn't like Omega, and he doesn't like the lucha no sell style. But like I said, I watched that match, and I'm not a fan of lucha. I thought it was a very entertaining visual spectacle, because this guy was like did lucha on steroids. Like, we've seen all the guys do the basic lucha spots, but this guy did like stuff we hadn't seen before. So but he did it all, which is like kind of like my criticism is like, but he was only in there for one shot. So it's like, all right, let's go, and it made an impression. But like, going forward, it's like, okay, my take is, could this guy, what do you do with this guy going forward? It's like, well, he's not really working in AEW anymore since he's back in AAA, but like, he could be an attraction you bring in, every once in a while. But like on weekly TV, he would get lost in the shuffle because everybody else is doing dives. Like what I'm saying? Like, would you agree with that, Conan?
No.
Like,
I think that I know AEW wants to use him more, so he'll become a part of the roster, but he'll be like Pentagon and Phoenix and Taya. They all started in AAA, but they work with AEW, just like Laredo Kid and Taurus. They work in Impact, but we still use them in AAA. So that's kind of we have that type of deal with other promoters. We still use them with NWA's La Rebelión, Bestia 666, and Mecha Wolf. So we've got talent everywhere. And that helps me. Why? Because it shows them how to be professional. Because most Mexican wrestlers are not professional. Okay, and yeah, you can reprint that in Spanish. I said that because that's the new thing now. They try to catch me in Mexico. Oh, Conan said this in the American podcast. But anyways, this guy's incredible. Nobody does what he does. He's the type of guy kind of like Rey Mysterio was when he first started, where you couldn't keep your eyes off of him or anybody else that's talented like that. And, this guy's going to be a big star in a couple years and make a lot of money and be the guy that, revolutionized this era until somebody better comes along.
I'm gonna make a statement here.
Right.
He needs, he should study, like the way he works. He should study Sabu. Because Sabu did like a lot of the crazy like rope, something. He did a lot of that, right? But he still had that chic, like I'm gonna bust you, I'm gonna bust your head open. You know what I'm saying? Like the Kingo needs to like learn how to like work in between the high spots and kind of like get in a niche where he can. I don't know, like wrestle, brawl, like in between the stuff. Because like to me, he just like. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of his work, but it looks like a one-trick pony, right?
No, he's not. He's doing you should see his match with Phoenix from Triple Mania.
Okay.
Incredible. And
right.
Phoenix is like Omega. He made him work and sell, and I don't understand why he says he doesn't sell, because he does.
No, yeah, I thought he sold fine. I just, but it's selling on that show. It's like, if you were in WWE, he'd be selling. You'd be giving more seconds to the selling.
Right.
They do things like you do a big spot. They sell for 2 minutes because the announcers are talking about the spot. They're showing the replay of the spot. They're showing that's the problem with AEW is the guys like the wrestlers don't even like really consider that. It's like, hey, if we're doing this big spot, we need to like settle down for like 2 minutes to let the narrative, the announcers talk about it and show a bunch of replays.
So Vikingo, just so you know, Vikingo just started a feud with this guy called Gringo Loco. Mm-hmm. In Mexico, and which will probably
the crazy Gringo.
Yeah,
Gringo.
Which was Art Bar's old.
Wait, what does Gringo mean in American?
Yeah, American.
The crazy American, the Gringo.
Yeah. But that's basically Gringo Loco is basically the Gringo Locos team of Eddie Guerrero and Art Bar, which later on I joined, and then we became like a faction.
Right.
But anyways, so he's gonna. Hopefully, they're going to end up doing a hair versus hair. Mm-hmm. And he'll have to sell there. He'll probably juice. He'll probably, that's where you're going to get to see Vikingo really work.
Right. Next is from Eddie Hogan. Somebody's Rick Boogs. Right. What's up, my guys? WWE just put out 24 Special, which is a documentary about the 2022 WrestleMania. One of the main focuses of the documentary was Rick Boogs. They went into his backstory, his prep for the event, and his unfortunate injury, and his smoking hot wife. Good for him. Joe, pull that up. I've never seen this guy's wife. I want to see if she's smoking hot. Question is, what's next? He's been back in WWE for a while now. They're really not doing much with him at all. So K100, what do you think is the future for Rick Boogs in WWE? And guys, you may not want to have to work with Billy. He's literally threatening a teenage girl on Twitter with violence. You guys work way, way too hard to have that beat a ton of heat for onto K100. So.
Okay, well, I guess the message hasn't gotten out. You heard he wasn't on this week.
Right,
yeah.
Until he changes his ways on the way he reacts to social media and shows us that he's changed, that he's not going to be right.
That doesn't seem to be the case because he's tripling down on a lot of things.
Absurd. Like I said, bro,
that's on him.
I like the content when he's on him, but all the other, he doesn't think he's high maintenance. I'm not trying to explain, bro. You're high maintenance to us. That's like you are high. You may not be high maintenance to yourself, but you're high maintenance to us because when the show's over, we're having to deal with you. It's like we don't like. How often have we ever had an issue like when the show was over that we had discussions and checks and it's like never, right?
Right.
Yeah, we just do the show. We all get together. The show. We do the show. It's like it's low maintenance. So, all right.
Although I had to be
Rick,
taught. I had to be
pull
taught
up.
to be low maintenance.
Did you get Rick Boogs' wife here?
Yeah, it's up on the screen. I got to play you a video clip.
All right.
See it?
Yeah. Oh my God, he's strong.
Why are you using a machine? Machines are ineffective.
Okay, that's all I could get for her. So really, all you're gonna get is that shot of her in the back. Yeah.
Bro, why don't you go on Twitter or on Google, Rick Boogs' wife, and click on images?
That's what I did. I think these
and
videos.
That's what you
came
got?
Out. Yeah.
Interesting.
A couple of videos.
All right, so
clean your garage. Nothing.
No, he'll be. First of all, everybody's like, okay, WrestleMania. The WrestleMania run is over, so now you can start everything was building up to WrestleMania, and if you weren't involved you weren't in the mix. It's like you didn't really, they didn't have time for you on TV. A couple appearances here and there, but coming out of WrestleMania, like the next 2 to 3 months, they're going to try to try some storylines with people that maybe haven't been prominent on TV, and we'll see where it goes.
There she is on his Instagram.
Let me see that. Oh yeah, she's attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. Next is from. What we got here? Oh, here we go. Next from Jason Turpin, somebody Scott Steiner. Hey guys, Cody, you killed in the Hall of Speech, bro. The Hall of Fame speech, bro. Put these stories in a book and I'd buy it. During Conan's speech, they showed the Steiner brothers on camera. Scott Steiner looks like he's lost considerable weight and muscle mass since I saw him at a convention not that long ago. Last year, Buff Bagwell said that Scott Steiner called him worried about how low his testosterone levels were. Do either of you guys know if Scott Steiner has any health issues? And also, Conan, did you run into Steiner over the weekend? Thanks, that's from Jason Turpin. I have no clue. I haven't talked to Scott. I don't live in Atlanta anymore. If I was in Atlanta, I might probably run into Scott every now and then, or I may see him, or we probably if I was still in Atlanta, me and Scott Steiner may have hooked up for lunch every if I'd been living there still, maybe but I don't live there anymore. Did you see him?
Yeah, you said you saw them in the room, right, Conan? Yeah.
Right, they're in the Hall of Fame room, but I was getting focused. But they Scott did look smaller, and Rick looked pumped. Almost like how Billy Gunn is, like that, still solid. He looks still solid.
Next is from Zero Solus. Subject is induction speech parameters. Hey, K100 crew. Congratulations on the induction speech of the night, Conan. Between you and Ray speaking, you're both absolutely the highlights of the Hall of Fame, and I love seeing you both on. My question should be quick for Conan. Did WWE get anything to say or to not say or mention during your speech, aside from cursing, obviously? The reason I ask because in clipping highlights of the Hall of Fame, WWE kept out saying Junior during your emphatic introduction. At the time, I thought it was cool of you to introduce him that way because of Latino lucha heritage. But I didn't think WWE would like it too much since they don't bill him that way, and then them cutting it kind of cemented that for me, and I've attached a 12. We don't need to hear the clip.
Yeah,
we already talked about it. And thanks to all your content, and wish you good health, Conan. Thanks, Daniel. Daniel, we talk about this in the our on K100 Talks on Spreaker and Spotify and everything, all that. We go over Conan's whole experience with the Hall of Fame. So
right.
And there's another one, Hall of Fame. It's actually Will Gabby Gonzalez, and the subject is Conan Hall of Fame intro speech brought tears in my eye. This is from Willoughby, pronounced Will Gabby Gonzalez from Chester, Pennsylvania. Delco native. Joe Feeney, buddy now for adding me on Facebook, LOL. Hi Conan, your introduction speech to Rey Mysterio is absolutely phenomenal and very inspiring. You write about kids looking up to Rey. I was one of them. I was 8 years old when I watched Rey in WCW wearing that cool Spider-Man looking gear he had on. Now I'm 35 years old now, watching that speech, and you and Ray did brought a tear to my eye, realizing that all my idols growing up back in the Monday Night Wars are getting old and are retiring. I just want to say thank you, Ray and all the Hispanic luchadora, for bringing Lucha Libre in America. It's great seeing Hispanics like Ray given the recognition he deserves. I guess my question is for you: where does all that energy come from? Especially seeing you pour out so much energy in that speech got me so hyped up. Seeing him deliver that amazing speech, I always wondered, how do you do it, man? Thank you for reading my question. God bless you. This guy's a mark for you, obviously. Where did you find that energy, Conan?
I didn't think I brought any extra energy, bro. That was just me doing a speech. Right,
yeah.
right.
Next is from Mass and Mayhem show, and the subject is Conan Apuestas. Just watch a WCW match between Conan and Mike Awesome, hair versus hair, with Kidman's luscious looks on the line for the Filthy Animals against Awesome's Team Canada Mullet. They actually did that. Just hearing that reminds me of what a great angle that must have been, because Kidman and Mike Awesome definitely had hair that needed to be cut. Right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Thanks for posting that, Jojo. That brings up 2 questions. I think this is the only Apuestas match I've seen Conan in. Are there any other amazing matches where Conan, when he had hair or mask on the line, that I should check out? And where's Tigress? She was dope. What did she do after her Filthy Animals run? And that's from Justin Outlaw. That's from the Masks, Mats, and Mayhem show podcast.
Oh yeah, yes, very good friend. He worked on Lucha Underground, or was a Lucha Underground fan. The first one is, the match that I had with Jake the Snake Roberts in Tijuana, which is probably one of the biggest houses, if not the biggest house in Tijuana. That was like Triple Mania 3.
And most heat it's ever had, right?
No, the more heat, there was even more heat when I wrestled Jake in LA. That was ridiculous. But the other Apuestas match that I was in, which is a classic, was the match in the Arena Mexico, me versus Perro Aguayo for his hair, because it was the first time a heel referee had been used in the finish, first time a referee had juiced, first time a kid had gone into the ring and taken somebody's mask off.
What, a kid took the mask off?
Yeah, it was supposedly my brother, and which it wasn't. But that's why Pena hired me as a booker, because he was like, "Where do you get all these ideas?" And I was like, "I just thought them up, you know." And so, anyways, that was a great match, and you should see the heat when I get over in that match, how the crowd turns on Perro. Really good match. So I would recommend those. Tigress, I don't know what happened to her. I don't think I might have seen her once after WCW, but I might be confusing with somebody else. She was really cool.
Next is from Jarius Tadros. The subject is question for the K100 crew. Hey guys, I'm an author of Pro Wrestling Stories. I've been following you guys for many years, and I love the show. My question is, what do you think about the Macho Man Randy Savage's look in the later part of the 90s? His hair was slicked back. He was dressed in black and must have weighed over 250 pounds. It seemed like he sacrificed his speed for strength. He was surrounded by 3 hot women. He was massive at the time. In the 80s and early 90s, he was not as big, but fast, strong, and explosive. Also, why do you think he reinvented himself? And do you think it had anything to do with his age? Or was it just time for a change? Take care and God bless. Bro, it had everything to do with his age. Like, guys like Randy used to go... Bro, he used to go on the top rope and jump off the top rope onto the floor and, like, axe handle the guy in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and you watch how he'd always take the fall. He would, like, hit and kind of collapse on his knees because...
He would crumble, yeah.
Because you don't want to land hard on cement and, like land hard. Bro, because that messes up your joints.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was always trying to do stuff like to stay safe, but it got to the point because the only thing he could do that was like hybrid, like Andrew, was the elbow off the top rope anymore. So he would just, he was smart. He always saved himself. He was still great at promos, and he could have a main event match. He was just he was slower. He was, but he could still punch. He could still work. He always was a great seller. And so yeah, that's what guys do when you get older. Like, you learn, you adapt. Conan adapted. Bro, when you were young, you were lucha, you were, hitting the road, flying all over until like you got to WCW. You go, okay, well, I can brawl here. This is easier work. Like, would you agree with that? Like, yep. The WCW work was easier work than lucha because, like, we can punch each other a lot and stuff and kick and not have to do like the lucha spots. So like. Yeah, he just smartened up.
And I think he adapted because, he had Medusa and Miss Madness and George with him.
And he was still over.
He was bigger. It was like attitude era Randy Savage.
Right, and he still had the people. So it's like when you have the people, you don't have to do a lot of you can just do enough to keep the pop, and like to for longevity,
The only thing I remember is the added weight and stuff.
Let me ask Conan probably did. Like, when did you feel you kind of like had to like change your style a little bit?
Yeah, when I got to WCW.
Like when you first got there, you're like, okay,
Well,
I'm just
nobody knew how to do lucha, so I said
you're
if
like,
I don't learn American style, I'm just gonna be wrestling luchadors.
so what's the first thing American style? Like he had like, okay, what can I do here to get a pop that I really didn't do in Mexico, but I can do here and get pops?
Well, it's just a whole style difference. I had to
Right.
be re-educated. Rey Mysterio had to be re-educated because we only knew lucha. So it's more of an education process than taking in or
How long
adding.
did it take you to figure it out? To where you're comfortable working with everybody?
Maybe a year and a half.
Right. That's
Yeah.
that same with me because I was when I got there, I was still kind of green because I didn't have a lot of time on the indies, like a lot of matches. I'd had a decent amount, and I'd worked a decent amount of good guys, like maybe 10 guys I'd worked on the indies that had been main roster guys on professional, like on the WWE or WCW, like and I learned a lot, right? But when I got into WCW, it's like my work
Hey.
drastically improved over the course of the first year,
Right.
because you're just working the best guys in the business, so you're not working indie guys, and you're not working guys that are just trying to get over on you or get their and stuff. You're trying to do what the office tells you, so yeah.
Bro, and then I went to Puerto Rico, and it took me another year to a year and a half to learn how to call a match in the ring.
Right.
Because the first time I went to Puerto Rico, I was late.
Yeah.
And I was thinking,
but Puerto Rican wrestling is kind of like, all right, you lock up, you go to the corner, all right, block this and hit me with one. It's like
right,
punch a guy you block, punches you, but the people pop on that.
I hadn't, but I hadn't. First of all, I hadn't been watching Puerto Rican wrestling, so I really didn't know what it was about until I got there. And it's kind of more American style.
Yeah, brawling.
And
it's
right,
yeah,
right. But when I got there, I was wrestling Jerry Flynn, okay,
right.
And he was in one locker room and I was in the other, and I was like, "All right, where's Jerry so we can go over the match?" And he was like, "Oh no, we just give you the finish." And I was
That's
like,
interesting
"What?"
because Jerry Flynn has like a shoot, MMA hybrid style.
Right.
The
match was, bro. The match was terrible, and he didn't understand me. I didn't understand him. He doesn't know how to base for lucha moves.
Right.
We was all up.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, if I want to come back here, which I did,
well,
I better learn this style.
Perfect example. This is where wrestling, like if you're a wrestling promoter, right? It's like you were completely oblivious to like stuff like this. It's like, okay, look, I'm bringing in Conan. He's wrestled in Mexico. Something. I got Jerry Flynn. I've seen him. He wrestles here. But lucha. That's like a completely different style than American wrestling. I should get these guys together before the match. And like a promoter wouldn't even think of that. They're just thinking like, well, wrestler, hey, you're in this, like we're called in the ring. It's like, well, these guys are speaking a different language. It's like maybe we should get these guys together in an area of, alone before the match starts. So but like promoters back then didn't, as the fusion, were, Mexicans started coming to work here and stuff. The fusing all these styles, like you couldn't really just call it in the ring. It's like two different languages. Did you? I mean, you obviously felt that too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Next is from Liam McCarthy. Apart from Disco butchering my name, think William Regal. The Liam is Liam or Liam. I don't know what your name is. Who cares what your name is?
Thanks for my previous. That's his second email this week. I'm gonna snitch him right out.
Is it Liam or Liam?
Liam.
Liam. Okay. Thanks for my previous question. Now, in AEW, we see the same repetitive thing for how they try to promote Rampage with all these awful segments on Dynamite, which lasts 30 seconds to make a match. Is there anything they can turn Rampage around? I don't watch any wrestling live, but I still won't watch Rampage at a later date. It reminds me of WWE Heat or something similar. Keep it the good guys. Keep it working. I haven't watched one episode of Rampage. I'm not interested. Like, bro, if literally you're gonna promote a match by a 1 minute promo, where the guy's talking about he was going to beat you because he's a better wrestler than you. It's like I'm not interested in watching your wrestling performance. The fix on Dynamite and Rampage is very easy. You got a lot of stars there. Start putting them against each other. Like there's no reason on a show where you have Adam Cole, Adam Cole could have wrestled Orange Cassidy, And the Butcher or whoever could have wrestled, Daniel Garcia. But you put Daniel Garcia against Adam Cole and the Butcher against, Orange Cassidy. So it's like you have a bunch of guys that you can make a lot of decent matches, and you can tell a couple weeks story because like they're more prominent characters, but you're just putting them against these random guys just for wins. And it's like that's why a lot of people don't really care about that show. They're not invested in the build up to the matches because they're not good matchups and they're not good build up. I mean, am I wrong?
Nope.